Hello guys, what is up? My name is Dylan. Welcome to the Popcorn Podcast. I'm going to really try not to laugh when I say this, but this is episode number 69. Unfortunately, our dear Ebony wanted me to do a special episode of sorts, a special themed episode for, an episode number this provocative. But alas, we are here talking about bigger and better things. Well, we'll see if it's actually that much better. Welcome back, Amy. Amy is here for a very special reason. I feel like your entire life is basically built up to this moment.
It has.
Amy's been on a couple of times. This is like your fourth?
Yeah.
Something like that?
I think so.
You're becoming quite the veteran on the Popcorn Podcast. But of course, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is currently out. And I mean, for me, there's like absolutely nobody else I could go to shoot this episode than Amy, of course. If you don't know Amy or you don't follow her, do you want to just, I'm going to stop talking, but do you want to tell the folks about you and a little franchise called Mission Impossible?
Okay, well, it's just my favourite, really, full stop, period. My mum loved it, so I feel like it's literally in my blood to have loved it this as much as I do. So Ghost Protocol was the first one I saw in cinema, and I feel like that's where the franchise elevated anyway, so I think I joined at a right time, and I just think it's the most consistent and strong franchise ever made.
Oh
yeah.
But you still haven't seen The Lord of the Rings.
I have.
To be fair, when you say consistent, I mean the
Yeah.
original trilogy, but I mean they fall off after on the Hobbit films, definitely. But consistent, yeah,
They're
definitely.
Yeah, and they get better and they age. No other franchise has aged as well. Like I think other franchises aspire. They should use this as proof that it can be done. Because so many like remakes or sequels set later, they just drop off. But these only get better to an extent. They peak.
They do peak. I completely agree with you. I think most other film franchises, in a world of sequels and prequels and just continuously recycling the same IP over and over again and recycling stories, the Mission Impossible franchise stands apart for a franchise that, just has this undying kind of light and it just almost feels like at one point it just wouldn't stop getting better.
No.
And of course a lot of credit indeed has to go to Mr. Tom Cruise, of course. Big fan of Tom Cruise, you are, of course.
I am a big fan of Tom Cruise.
Even though your T-shirt is highlighting another one.
Ferguson.
Rebecca Ferguson, the GOAT.
Yes.
Lady Jessica.
Yeah. Ilsa Faust. I think, we'll I hope I get a chance to talk about Ilsa.
Oh yeah, we'll get straight in there. So essentially the love for Mission Impossible kind of stemmed from your family, essentially. And you mentioned Ghost Protocol was the first that you saw in the cinema. Ghost Protocol for me was and still is my favorite because because of nostalgia. It's the one I watched the most. I had it on Blu-ray and I just I think I watched Ghost Protocol before I saw any of the other Mission Impossible films.
Same. I don't think it's the first one I remember seeing, so I don't remember seeing the 1, 2, and 3 before Ghost Protocol. Yeah,
and very similar to you, I love this franchise so much. I think it is not a stretch to say this could be the greatest action franchise of all time. However, I actually have a hot take that I just want to throw out there just to before we even get into The Final Reckoning. Although I think this is potentially the best action franchise ever, I don't quite think there is a single Mission Impossible film for me that's a 5 out of 5 stars. For me, I think Fallout is the closest that it comes to. But for me, there's just something I can't even quite describe it.
What's missing?
I'm trying to think. I feel like part of it is kind of I think if it had another level of emotion to it, you'd really be getting into it. But I mean, it's a nitpick, and I know you're gonna come for me, but like even my favorite Ghost Protocol, I don't think it's quite a 5-star. I think, like, for example, in Ghost Protocol, the villain is pretty weak in that film, and believe me, I love those films so much. But I think all of them, like the best of the franchise, ever so slightly falls short for me of that 5-star rating. That's just my opinion. But on a whole, like you, I just think that consistent. totally pushing the boundaries of cinema, constantly trying to outdo the last. And I think that it's what all great action franchises should aspire to be like, definitely.
Yeah.
Um,
And also not just the stunts and the actions, like literally every element.
oh, yeah.
I've never appreciated sound and music and lighting as much as, and I think that's a credit to Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah. Tom,
but-
I mean, yeah, he's definitely the vehicle of this franchise without a
Yeah.
shadow of a doubt. And I think if you try to, like, unlike the John Wick films, for example, like they're doing Ballerina, which is a spin-off, new character, new actress, Ana de Armas, of course. Mission Impossible is very much, I don't think works without Tom Cruise. It just, plain and simple, it doesn't.
No.
I thought, Amy, we have done a round of quickfire questions, your personal quickfire questions in your first episode here, but I still want to do a round of quickfire questions, of course. So this is a little game to kick things off, to get an insight into what you think makes the franchise tick, which films stand out and which films maybe don't stand out. So this round of quickfire questions is called Which Mission, in reference to which Mission Impossible film. So I'm going to read out some categories. You're going to tell me which in the franchise for you this applies to. So first up, best stunt.
Oh, I think the Halo jump in Fallout.
Oh, that's an interesting pick. That is an interesting
it?
pick. I think so.
Really?
I think, yeah. I don't know. I didn't realize that the Halo jump. I mean, I think it's up there for sure, but I didn't realize it was hailed quite the same. But that's.
I think there's so many. It depends what you
yeah.
watch. I mean, the motorbike stunt in Dead Reckoning is like the elite stunt. I mean, that's got so much that whole set piece and the lead up to it. I mean, the film was based around that stunt. So that's all of them are just incredible and insane, and they hurt my head thinking about what he's putting himself through. But I actually think the Halo jump is just insane for what it is. Like, he was told he couldn't do that. It wasn't. Was it high altitude, low oxygen, or low something? I just think, and how it was filmed, and I just love that scene in Fallout.
Yeah, I think it's a great scene. My only issue with that scene, I know it's supposed to be quickfire questions. My only issue with that scene is I wish they didn't add the lightning. I wish they didn't add the CGI to it.
A bit unrealistic.
Yeah, I think the stunt was enough. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then like, there was a slight level of artificiality to it which slightly brings it down. For me, like, not that anyone asked, but like, for me, I mean, the Burj Khalifa stunt is still for me the king here. But there we go. Best villain.
Owen Davian, Philip Seymour Hoffman, is the best villain performance. I think Solomon Lane, because he spans across two films, he has more room for character development, and you get to know him better in like Two Lights. So I think for story, Solomon Lane, but I mean, you have to say Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, goat. Worst villain.
Sean Ambrose. Just Ethan Hunt wannabe.
His Scottish
He didn't even know what he was stealing. Bless him.
Interesting idea though. Ex-IMF agent, gone rogue. Had quite an interesting opening scene where he basically impersonates Ethan Hunt, and cool, but yeah, too much just melodrama going on for me, I think. Best performance.
I mean, other than Philip Seymour Hoffman as Owen Davian, I genuinely am just going to say Tom Cruise. I think if you look past, he gets so much credit, as he should, for the stunts and the action and the set pieces, but that man can act, and I actually think his comedic timing in the latter films, I think he's so funny, and I think he can do any genre, and he can do yearning, he can do sad, he can do everything, and I think his acting skills get very overlooked by 100%. His stunts.
100%, I agree with you. I think people easily forget how good of an actor, an established actor Tom Cruise is, and how much range he has, just because he is now this huge action star. But the guy can act like really, really well. Worst performance.
I don't really think that none of them stand out to me as a bad performance. I think that's
least favorite performance.
Least favorite performance. Probably Billy Crudup's character in Mission 3, just because I think his character's a bit irrelevant and doesn't really add much, but I love him in The Morning Show, and I saw him on stage last year. Oh. So I think he's great. He adds nothing.
Fair enough.
I think everyone else adds everything.
Most emotional film?
Well, I would have to say The Final Reckoning, because I did cry multiple times watching it. But I think that's more part of the nostalgia and the conclusivity of it. But I also cry at Fallout. I think the scene with Ethan, Julia and Ilsa when they get to the camp. Yes. But probably Final Reckoning at the moment.
Best love interest?
Ilsa Faust.
Most underrated film?
It's so weird to say the first mission film. Because I think I've been looking at everyone's rankings recently, like they've been posting them all in the lead up to the film, and the first mission film often ranks quite low compared to like Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Reckoning. But I think it's like that is just because it doesn't have a mega set piece stunt. It's where it all began, and it's so good. And Brian De Palma's is so good.
I really enjoyed going back and rewatching that.
Yeah, I think
he directs the shit out of that film.
Yeah, and like there's so like my favorite. Oh, that's not Quickfire. My favorite scene in Mission Impossible is actually, other than the Langley heist, is actually when Jim Phelps is saying to Ethan, like convincing him that Kittredge is a mole, but then you see Ethan putting it together in his head that it's Phelps.
Yeah.
But with his narrative, I just think it's such a unique storytelling device. Now, I just love Brian De Palma in that film. So
yeah.
I would say First Mission because everyone put it so low in their rankings.
It is the one that began it all. Worst love interest?
Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played it simple. We'll get to Grace in a sec. Most underrated stunt?
Right, okay. I literally did a video on this. Now, if you're talking about Tom's stunt, knife in the eye in Mission Impossible 2, because that is so close. And it was on string, it was tied together, but if he blinked or moved, if he like sneezed, his eye would have been gone. Yeah. So I think in terms of like bodily damage, him. But I actually think the most underrated stunt is Rebecca Ferguson in Rogue Nation, because she also held her breath for over 4 minutes and did all that training. And I think, again, Tom gets all the credit, as he should, but she also did that massive jump into the water vent, which got cut because they thought it was better for her to
just appear.
Makes sense. Yeah. But she has like severe vertigo, so slay for her for getting over that. And then held her breath for like over 4 minutes, which I don't know how you can train your body to do that.
Yeah. She always cracks me up on that one time on Graham Norton when they were doing Fallout.
Welcome to Mission.
Yeah. That story when Rebecca Ferguson first time on set, and they, her and Tom Cruise, like were sort of strapped to one another, jumping from the opera house, and she was like screaming and shouting and swearing, and then Tom Cruise goes, "Welcome to Mission."
Yeah. And he's like, "I didn't do that." You know, he definitely did that. She's so funny. Yeah.
Best Tom Cruise run. This is tough.
I love the one in 3 in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Because he's just running so fast.
Yeah.
And I read like he actually ran faster than the cameras on the.
Yeah, he did.
On the whatever, I don't know the camera terminology.
Yeah, I think that's also the longest take in the entire franchise. I think the second closest is the one in Fallout when it's like the London.
And I think 'cause it's so busy in loads of other of his runs, like it's just him, centered around him. But you feel him running through it, and obviously it's the first time you get Benji in his ear, like directed.
Oh yeah,
just like everyone
little teaser what's to come.
Yeah,
and shout out also to Ghost Protocol with the flipping sandstorm in the background, the Burj Khalifa sort of towering over.
I actually really like the one in Dead Reckoning as well because of the candles and just running through Venice in like the tight alleyways. I think. Yeah, the setting really makes his runs. I quite liked the one in the Final Reckoning. The shot of like it's like really shaky cam, and he's running through like the grass, and there's like sunlight coming through the background. Yeah, I thought that's like in really South Africa, like a really cool shot. And finally, Amy, best film. Fallout.
Okay. We knew it was coming. So, guys, that was a little not so quick fire questions. But Amy, of course, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to help me review The Final Reckoning, of course. Now, the pair of us saw this little under a week ago as of when we're recording this at the Paramount, a multimedia screening at Leicester Square, the IMAX at Leicester Square. So we've had a little bit of time to process it, although the pair of us have had quite busy weeks. This is like the third time I've seen you
I know.
In the space of a week, which is kind of crazy. But The Final Reckoning, I mean, it's not a shout to say that this was your most anticipated of the year.
100%.
Okay.
I just think, well, they were meant to come out in summer 21 and 22, and we're at summer 25. Yeah. Finally got it. So I feel like it doesn't feel real that it's out for everyone to see. Yeah. It's over, but here we are. Is it over?
We shall see. We shall see. Maybe, probably, but. Who knows? Okay, guys, so we are going to dive straight into the film. But of course, the first thing I need to do is issue a spoiler warning. We are going to be talking spoilers for Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. So if you have not yet seen the film, please go and check it out and come back to this discussion at a later time. I'm going to kick things off with a brief plot synopsis to get straight into the story, the narrative. So let's get kicking. So Ethan Hunt and the IMF team are locked in a high-stakes pursuit of the unstoppable AI, the Entity, which has infiltrated intelligence networks across the globe. With the world's governments hunting them down and a shadow from Ethan's past closing in, Hunt must join forces with new allies and secure the power to destroy the Entity before time runs out and the world is changed forever. Guys, actually, I do apologize for my performance in this review. It's going to be a bit all over the place because I haven't actually really, even though it's been kind of under a week, I haven't really had time to fully...
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It is a lot. I'm just actually going to straight up ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with the final reckoning?
7.
Okay.
I'll say 7 for now. I do need to rewatch it instantly.
Yeah.
Because I've been trying to process my thoughts and instantly coming out of it.
Yeah.
Rated it 5 stars, but we all knew that was going to happen. So, and
I was like, here we go.
If you look at my letterbox activity, you'll just see it then slowly decrease half a star.
What is it on now?
It's on 4.
Okay.
And I think I'll keep it on 4. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think my reaction was somewhat similar. I mean, I didn't jump to 5 stars. I don't think this is a 5-star film. Just let me preface. I initially gave it 4 stars. It's still at a 4 stars currently for me, even though I don't really know how I feel about it right now. I think on a rewatch, I have a feeling it's going to go down a little bit for me. It's just kind of premonition I'm having about seeing it for a second time and really kind of coming to terms with it. Yeah, I am sort of similar to you. I'm more around a 6, I want to say, like in terms of satisfaction as the final chapter in this franchise. I think, just to kind of get straight in there, I think the first half of this film is a bit of a mess, I want to say.
There was a lot of explaining and exposition. I really thought they were going to get rid of the Entity quite early on.
Oh.
Because I just like, how do you beat a beta something that you don't really know how to beat? And then I thought the main fight was going to be between like him, Gabriel, Kittredge in there kind of thing, and more of like a conclusive, like an actual person. Obviously he did fight people in it, but I think the actual existence of the Entity, I didn't expect it to be spun across the whole 3-hour runtime.
Yeah.
And I think needing their desire to make every film understandable for, regardless if you've seen the whole franchise, I think that did come across in the first act.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I liked the montage throwback edits to all the other films, but probably if I wasn't such a big fan of the franchise, I can see how like a casual viewer would probably find that quite long and annoying. Yeah,
I think I agree with you as well. For me, like the first half of me was just, I think when the film in general is just there's too much going on. It's so overstuffed with information, especially that first half. There's so much exposition, which was one of my problems with Dead Reckoning Part 1. And I really thought, I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to kind of just seeing a more fluid narrative here. But it is just a really like compactly dense, amount of information in that first half. And it's a lot. And while it's trying to kind of do its own thing with the Entity, it's also simultaneously trying to it brings in all these threads from previous films that I personally just don't think need to be there, or if they were trying to bring them in, I don't really know what they added. They kind of had that one plot line from Mission Impossible 3, like the rabbit's foot, and like it didn't, I don't think it really added anything to the plot. And with regards to the montage, I enjoyed seeing the montage because I was like, oh, it's the final one. Oh, don't make me cry, like I did with the films just kind of started. So I think the film kind of suffers from trying to kind of be a good closing film, but also trying to be this kind of swan song that concludes the entire franchise for me. I just found it to be so bloated. And for me, the film doesn't really get started until like the halfway mark. The moment in which he jumps into the Pacific Ocean, that's when the film really gets going.
Yeah, I have to caveat, I didn't feel the length of it though. Some people said it felt like a 3-hour long film. I didn't feel that. I don't know whether just because it was a first watch, maybe on rewatch I will feel longer. Yeah. But it didn't feel like I was watching a really long film. It just felt like I was watching a Mission Impossible film. Yeah. I didn't feel the added 25 minutes from the previous long one. It didn't feel too long.
This was, what was this, 2050 or something?
Something, yeah.
Yeah. I want to say, I don't know who edited the film, but shout out because they
Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, he must have gone insane trying to edit, especially the first half of this. Like the amount of cuts, the amount of...
Yeah.
Gosh, I do not envy him. Of course, one big significant thing that happens in the first half is our dear Luther. He doesn't make it.
No.
Were you expecting that?
I did think that Luther was going to die.
Yeah.
Partly because of Ving Rhames just as an actor. I feel like he was kind of leaning towards that way in Dead Reckoning anyway. I don't hate how he went. I think he got a better send-off than Ilsa did. I mean, he's been in the franchise longer, so respect. But it didn't hit as hard as I thought it would.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think like obviously the only kind of justifiable way for him to really go out is in a kind of deadlock situation where there is like a checkmate situation, where like there is literally no way out. So almost like sacrificing himself for the team or for Ethan would be that, that natural sort of conclusion to his character. But yeah, like similarly to you, I felt like for a character who has played such an instrumental role in Ethan Hunt's life, I like the moment where they literally exchange their final words and then Tom just sprints off.
Yeah.
And you can see it. He's like really like emotionally, drained from that. But I don't know. I feel like it was a bit lackluster. I kind of wanted a bit more. But hey, that's what the film gave us, and on we move. But there's also this entire kind of sort of subplot with Angela Bassett, who is now the president, and all the other surrounding Congress and all that stuff. What did you think about that?
I didn't think it was necessarily needed.
Okay.
I felt like this was Ethan Hunt's film, which it's his franchise anyway. But if you compare it to Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, it feels very much more of Ethan and the team together, and they're doing things together. This very much felt like Ethan's on his own, doing his thing for his send-off, and then you had the team, and then you also had this other team of new people with Erica Sloane, who's great, love her, and obviously there was that Easter egg in Dead Reckoning where you saw that she was president. She's on the back of the wall. So it was nice to have her return, but then have all these new... I just felt like it did make it a lot.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think...
Because you had Kittredge and Shea Wiggum's character as well.
Yeah.
Forgot about them.
Yeah, I think it's interesting though, because obviously in that situation, there's like all this political sort of interplay happening at the same time. There's people who, trust Ethan. There's a lot of people who don't trust Ethan. How did they sort of interact? And I felt like the film built that drama up more than it was.
Yeah.
So like it was like what was it? Nick Offerman's character just had a gun, like said to the soldier, "Give me your gun." And I was like, "Oh shit, he's gonna pull a madness." And then it was like, "Oh no, what? Psych! I saved." So I don't know. It kind of felt a bit short for me, but I did enjoy seeing some of those scenes, and of course, those actors are all incredible. So like, all the Dutch angles, all the I did enjoy it to a certain extent, but yeah, again, a little too much exposition and continuous kind of. I'm like, can we get to the flipping? Can we get back to Ethan, please? But yeah. Now, of course, if the mission films are defined by their outrageous stunts, then the Final Reckoning is defined by two major set pieces, two major stunts in which Tom Cruise once again risks his life. I enjoyed the sort of kind of the fact that these two stunts are kind of polar opposites of each other. One takes place in the depths of the ocean and the other takes place literally in the sky. Let's talk about that first submarine set piece. What did you think?
I liked it. I've read some people say it was too long or wasn't as suspenseful as they'd hoped, but every time those big missiles moved, I was like, oh my God, what is
the torpedoes,
that's so scary.
Yeah.
And the fact that obviously he was like inhaling his own carbon dioxide, like the actuals, you don't realise because you're thinking, oh, he's just like in a safe little place, but he's actually underwater doing that in like extreme pressures for no reason other than he just wants to be the best,
entertain,
and give us a real scene, which he does, and I really liked it. Yeah,
I was that was like the first time I was like, oh my God, we might be back. Yes, guys, come on. I thought it was a good set piece for sure. I think I was like really quite tensed up during that the entire time, because obviously he had the suit on, but then of course towards the end, like, he has to basically take it off, and you're like, oh my god.
What was he doing?
Even though you kind of know he's gonna make it, but still, like,
Yeah.
it's still like the spectacle of seeing that is really nail biting stuff. And like you said, the torpedo is kind of flying around, and it's like almost like this obstacle course underwater, and really, really great stuff. I really enjoyed how there was also no music, and it was just kind of you with Tom Cruise underwater for about 25 minutes, and you could hear a pin drop in the cinema. Like, it was really, really tense.
Kind of like in the first one.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So really, really enjoyed that stunt. The second stunt, though, for me, the final one,
I just don't know how he did it. I truly don't know how he did it.
the biplane sequence towards the end, just insane stuff. Like, on the one hand, whilst the first half of this film I don't think is anywhere near, I would put it on the weaker end of the films, the second half for me is like some of the best shit I've seen in the franchise, I would
Yeah,
say.
I mean, I loved the stunts. Do you not think that the third act felt very much like Fallout, though?
Yes,
But
100%.
and I think it wasn't as good.
No, I think
It's kind of the identical situation.
Yes.
Like, he's on his own. It's like, oh, you never know if he's going to make it when he's wait the last second to press the button.
yeah,
And they're in the sky, and it's just planes instead of helicopters.
yeah. No,
So-
I agree. I actually do. This might be a hot take, but I actually do prefer this biplane stunt to the helicopter stunt in Fallout.
Really?
The reason why, and I'm definitely in the minority here. I've never heard anyone say this about the helicopter sequence in Fallout. Although that sequence is incredible, for me, for me, whenever I watch that, I get taken out ever so slightly, because even though this is huge demonstration of incredible stunt spectacle, the IMAX cameras that they use. Firstly, there's a lot of changing aspect ratios in that, so that throws me off quite a bit. But there's a couple of shots where they literally mount the camera to the side of the helicopter, and it feels almost a little bit like it's like a security camera for some reason. Like, for me, there's like only like a few shots that just take me out of the cinematics sort of immersion of it, and it's like almost like this documentary style kind of thing that I'm seeing. But aside from that, like I said, it's a bit of a nitpick, but I thought the biplane stunt here is just insane. Like,
Yeah, no, it is. And I think you feel how more insane it is than the Fallout one.
yeah,
Even though they're probably equally dangerous because
yeah,
in terms of what they're doing. But
yeah, I think so as well. I think it's it's just even just thinking about it, like the amount of like G-force you have to sustain, and like
yeah.
to like I remember Tom Cruise like teasing the trailer for this last one, and him just being sort of holding onto the side of one of the biplanes, and the plane just dropped. Remember, like, hi guys, welcome, I'll see you at the movies, kind of thing. And I was like, that's insane. And then you see it on this IMAX screen, and you're like, holy shit, like
His face is physically like
melting.
blowing
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
why would he do? Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
it's
just insane.
it's nuts. In terms of how that kind of concludes the sort of antagonist here, Gabriel. What do you think about him as a villain here?
I don't really understand. I don't like how they just brought back this figure from his past that somehow is the reason he joined the IMF that we haven't heard of in the entire 30-year span of these films. It kind of feels a bit, I don't know the right word for it. I feel like this film and Dead Reckoning you feel the lack of script and structure more than you did with Rogue Nation and Fallout.
Yeah.
And I love Chris McQuarrie. I think he is so talented for what he does, and him and Tom's partnership is just I genuinely think one of the best director-actor combos. But I do feel like Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning were based around set pieces, and they kind of worked out the plot as they went. And I feel like you feel that in the villain, because it's like, oh, we'll just bring back someone from his past. And what even happened to Marie, I don't even remember her name.
Yeah.
So I feel like you feel the lack of structure to his villain, but yeah, it's quite a standard villain for a film to have. Yeah, so
I think this kind of also relates back to the reason I said before why I don't think any of the Mission Impossibles are quite 5-star for me, is because there is an element of the entire films are based around the stunts, and they've always written the script like that. Like they've always planned the stunts first, then written the scripts. I spoke with one of the production coordinators, Emily, her name is, on a film that I was working on. She was a production coordinator of Dead Reckoning, and I think also The Final Reckoning as well. And she literally said, yes, we're literally flying to a location and they're writing the script as we're on the way there. So it is very much like, you know, on the go, which isn't good script writing, but at the end of the day, like we come to see these films for the stunts.
Yeah.
But yes, I do agree with you. I feel like, you know, compared to the others in the franchise, this kind of shoehorning of like random plot lines that never really have materialized anywhere else before in the franchise kind of feels a bit like lazy writing and just a bit of like, oh yeah, whatever kind of thing.
Yeah. But you don't have that in Rogue Nation.
No, you don't.
So
no, you don't.
I know, like, I love Chris McQuarrie and Tom Cruise relationship.
Yeah.
So I don't like to speak negative on it, but I did. I don't know. I thought
I never thought I'd see the day.
I know. I actually hate. Oh, I can't. I know this. I mean, the more I sit with it, the more I sit with what the Final Reckoning is. I just Fallout felt more conclusive to me.
Let's just leave it at Fallout. Like let's just pretend that's kind of how
I feel like it did end. Fallout ended.
So I was on my way here. I was actually having a think about kind of there was something that the ending of this franchise kind of reminded me of. Bear with me. This is going to sound crazy. Bear with me. I don't mean it to be so alarming, but the final couple films of the Mission Impossible series kind of reminded me of the final couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. Wait.
I don't think it's that bad.
Wait. Okay. So essentially, what I mean by that is like, if you've seen Game of Thrones, like season 6 is an incredible season. It has some of the greatest episodes. It has like the Battle of the Bastards and the Winds of Winter, and that for me is Fallout. Fallout is like the peak of the Mission Impossible franchise in a lot of ways, as is season 6 some episodes. Still think season 4 is the best, as Ghost Protocol is. And then Dead Reckoning for me is almost a bit like Game of Thrones season 7. So Game of Thrones season 7 has great moments, but there is something that is starting to fall flat in the script. Like characters are appearing in, too conveniently. They travel from destination to destination in the blink of an eye, kind of thing, and you can kind of feel the quality of the story sort of slowly coming down. Now, I don't think the quality drop from Dead Reckoning to the Final Reckoning is as significant as it is from season 7 of Game of Thrones to season 8. But ever so slightly, I can't help but feel slightly on the more disappointed side that they didn't find another way to tell this last chapter. That's what I think. Even though the highs are so high, even though the stunts are so great, I feel like the first half for me, I just wish it had a better first half and a more natural kind of continuation from Dead Reckoning. I thought going to the Gabriel character, for someone who was teased to have been this mysterious figure in Ethan's past, I was hoping that this film was going to give us a bit more of that, going to give us a bit more characterization of that. And it really didn't. If anything, it turned him into more of a caricature than he was before.
Yeah. But I prefer Final Reckoning to Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Dead Reckoning, to be honest. I've only seen it the one time, and I liked it. I enjoyed some aspects of it, but I don't like it anywhere near as much as the previous 3, I would say.
Yeah.
I will say as well, if I'm kind of talking about the stunts as well, there is something, even though the stunts in Final Reckoning are amazing, there is something about this film that makes Tom Cruise, I mean, he's always been like a superhero, basically. We always joke about how he's a superhero, he can defy basically all odds. But this film, for me, I don't know if it's like the length of the stunts in terms of time, like how he's just basically underwater for like 25 minutes or up in the sky for about 25 minutes, that basically almost turns him into, like, even though you know he's doing it for real, there is an element of like, yeah, but it's not quite as, I don't want to say impressive, but like there's not the same level of edge of your seat tension because it's sustained for such a long period of time. So you kind of get not used to seeing him up in the air, for example, but like, you know, in the Burj Khalifa sequence, for example, you know, like at any moment he could just drop, and he does drop. But that scene is so meticulously crafted amongst like 10, 15 minutes, and like every minute there's something changing, something happens, there's a new problem to be solved. Whereas like this is like, he's kind of underwater dodging some torpedoes here and there, which is riveting to watch, but it's also like, I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? Kind of.
I know what you're saying. I disagree.
Yeah.
I think I think all the stunts are the pinnacle of what all the films are.
Yeah.
So I think they're the best filmed parts of the film.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
So I've never felt disappointed with a stunt scene. So
I wouldn't say I was disappointed. I just think that I think also the entire narrative comes into play here. Whereas, like, for example, the other Mission films, they have such a more personal conflict going on, like with the Syndicate, or even though it is kind of what's his name, Hendrix in number 4 trying to start World War III. They feel very much team oriented. There's conflicts between the characters. It's a huge scale, but it also feels very personal and intimate. Whereas the Final Reckoning is kind of like, oh, if we fail, the world's gonna end. You know the world's not going to end. You know, like, deep down, everyone watching the film knows they're not going to destroy like that. That's the thing for me.
That's the same for any action film.
Exactly.
That's the genre.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean. But it's like a trope of like the world's going to end. But for me,
that's why Infinity War is the best one, because they do. Yeah, they do lose.
You just threw a Marvel card in there. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, the Mission films for me have always not been that. And then now for them to be like, we're going to blow up the world. For me, it's just a bit like, yeah, but you're not really. I'm here. I still enjoy. I'm still entertained, but you're not really going to blow up the world. So there is a level of like.
And that's why I thought the Entity as a villain was going to be sold pretty quickly. And then it was going to be a more personal thing with Gabriel. That's what I thought the film was going to be. And I think that's my only slight. I don't know whether to call it disappointment, because I wasn't disappointed watching it. I loved it. I came out absolutely on a massive high, thinking. Affirming that this was the best franchise ever, because it did not drop in quality. Like, I've dropped it from 5 to 4 stars. That's not a bad film. I think that was probably my thing with it.
Where would you rank this film in the Mission Impossible franchise?
So originally I put it Fallout, Rogue Nation, Mission 1. They're my top 3, and then I think it will either go Ghost Protocol or this one. I think that is hovering at 4th, 5th.
Okay.
So I'll rewatch and let you know.
Yeah, that's the thing about watching films like instantly out of the cinema. Like, you need some time as well. I was gonna say, before we actually do conclude this review, you did mention at the start your favorite character, Grace. Why are you not such a fan of her?
Okay, I'm not just saying this because I want Ilsa and Ethan to be in a relationship. I couldn't care less if they'd actually were a couple or not. But I think Rogue Nation and Fallout are a perfect example of like a part 1 and part 2 film, because they just feed into one another. So that should have had the continuity. I can't say that word. Continuity. That I feel like Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning were trying to replicate or have. It just didn't marry up as well. No. Yeah, I think those two films are connected so well because at the core of it is Ethan and Ilsa as characters, because they both are on opposite sides but the same side. They understand each other in a way that I don't think any other characters understood Ethan. Now, I think Julia, they were great together. That's his soulmate and his wife and the love of his life. But they were never going to work, as it was made clear in the film, and as they even understood themselves. And I'm not saying that Ethan and Ilsa would have worked as a couple, because they probably wouldn't have, but they are the definition of just two sides of the same coin. And I think Ilsa is such a rare character. Like, when Rogue Nation came out, she wasn't a damsel in distress. She didn't work with Ethan, but she did. She didn't work against him, but she did. I think she's such a complex character. And they were just so in sync. In Rogue Nation, all their fight sequences are so in sync. They look at each other and just understand each other. So many unspoken words. And that's a credit to Rebecca Ferguson and Tom Cruise, and how he scouted Rebecca, and just that whole relationship is phenomenal. And then obviously she came back, and years has passed, and you knew that they'd stayed in touch or something, but then it's like, oh, I thought you were out of the game, and it's like, no. And that scene, one of my favourite scenes in Fallout, is when Ethan leads Ilsa to that bit in Paris underneath with Lorne Balfe's music. That's the side I actually think Lorne is really missed in this film. Like, I could tell he wasn't in it, and wasn't a part of it, but because his score in Fallout is just phenomenal. I think it's called Love Undone or Love
I know the
Love Reduce.
It's like they're walking through where they first walk back through the rave, and then they exit, and then
he's like, she's following him, but he's actually leading her somewhere because they just get each other so much, and I think their relationship is, whatever it may be, is core to Rogue Nation Fallout being so good. I don't care that they cut the kisses. I mean, deep down I do, but I don't mind that in a romantic sense. But they are just connected.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Ilsa Faust, not only is she the best female character in the franchise, she's one of the best characters in the entire thing.
No.
She's, I think, like definitely one of my favorites. I think Rebecca Ferguson is just electric. I think she has great chemistry with Tom Cruise, which I know isn't always the easiest thing for actors, even though he's great. Like, he's just on like another level. So as an actor coming into a production, it's quite intimidating. But she just gets it.
Yeah.
And she has she's a terrific character. For me, the part of the brilliance of that relationship is the fact that they are so well suited to each other, but they can never be with one another, and that's the tragedy of their relationship.
Yeah,
and
but they both knew that, and I didn't want them to go running off holding hands and sunset together. But they were just like, Fallout to me it felt like could have been the end. Yeah. I wouldn't have wanted it to be, because I'd love it to continue forever. But it was basically, Angela Bassett is narrating the end, and it's like, and that close your friend's account with the British intelligence, and they do kind of like imply that she's joined the team, and that or that they're going to at least stay like in touch. And then I think there's a different Ilsa and Ethan in Dead
Reckoning. Yeah.
And I think that's because they introduced Grace.
Yeah.
And that they introduced Grace because Rebecca Ferguson wasn't going to be in it. So I just think
I heard that Thandie Newton was contacted to come back for Dead Reckoning, and she couldn't do it, and that's why they wrote in Grace. That's why they brought in Hayley Atwell. That's what I thought happened.
I don't know. I don't know, but I know that Kristen McQuarrie has been a massive fan of Hayley Atwell's work for many years.
Yeah.
She's great. I don't dislike her. I think she's great, and I think she's a great actress, and it's not anything against her. But I think that maybe however it was decided that Rebecca was leaving, whether that was her choice, I think no one will know. I think there's rumours that she was offered she was offered to extend her contract, but she said no, because it's so time consuming to film these films.
It's exhausting.
Which makes sense considering how much she's done in that space. Like, she's done like 4 seasons of Silo, June, like she's done so much.
Dune,
she's got Magic Faraway Tree, the Peaky Blinders movie, the Catherine Bigelow film. She's got so much. There you go. But so whether it was that or was there some other reason, I don't know. But it just felt like they needed someone to replace that sort of character, and they did try and replicate that kind of chemistry, the kind of flirty movements, and how Grace is one better, one up, one down. Like, they're chasing. Do they trust each other? It kind of felt like a replica of Ethan and Ilsa's relationship, but it just didn't hit the same.
See, I think that about Grace, but I don't think, for me, I didn't see it as a replica of Ilsa's relationship. I thought it they tried to do a bit more of an advanced version of Naya in number 2, because she's like a jewel thief or a thief, and she has all these skills, and you don't know what side she's on. That element is synonymous with Rebecca Ferguson as well. But I just think fundamentally Tom Cruise and Hayley Atwell, their characters just don't work. As romantically, it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of plain and simple. Just
whether they were, they're always like, they didn't obviously confirm it to be romantic, but it was quite. Obvious. But
that's the thing. It's like, it's almost as if they didn't commit to it, or like they were trying. They were trying to walk this line.
Which worked with. That's what I'm saying.
It worked with Rebecca Ferguson. Yeah.
But it didn't work with Grace because of who she is as a character, which is why I just felt like it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And it made the team too big, and so.
Yeah.
And I didn't like, Ilsa could have died. I would have still been sad, but
I was sad when she died.
I was sad. I didn't believe it when I first watched it. I was like, well, she's just been killed in the desert, and now she's been killed and I was convinced that it was going to be a nod to Jim Phelps dying on the bridge, and that she wasn't going to come back. I've got so many theories. I
had an inkling she was going to die from when I saw her in Dead Reckoning, just because they'd introduced Hayley Atwell. I was like, right, there's not enough room for 2 of you guys. One of you is going to have to.
No.
But I don't know. Yeah, but a tragic end to one of our favorite characters, but not a tragic end for Ethan Hunt. He's still kicking around. Does this mean we're going to get more Mission? I don't know. What do you think they should do with the franchise? Just to sort of sum up this review, what do you think? Do you think this should be the end? Do you think there's room for one more?
I think it should be the end.
Yeah.
I think Tom should carry on working with McHugh and do other things outside of the character of Ethan Hunt. I think Ethan Hunt has done his part. I liked the final scene. I did think there were going to be more cameos. I don't know why. The cast was so stacked though and crowded, there wouldn't have been space for them. But I did think that Renner was going to come back. Sorry, it felt conclusive, and I did like the end. But I did kind of expect like some credit scene montage, like with all the actors. You know how like Endgame did it, or like Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 did it. I expected kind of like that. So it still didn't feel. Ethan Hunt feels complete, but the franchise definitely still could go somewhere. Whether I want that to happen or not, I don't think so.
So yeah, I think they should just end it here. I think it has a level of finality to it where you could say that's it, done.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, I mean, this has always kind of been the Tom Cruise show, and he will go on to make many more movies. He said he will never stop making movies. Recently he said that, and he said he still thinks he can make a better Mission film. So whether or not we'll ever see Ethan Hunt return, I don't know. I wouldn't completely put it off the table. Like some other franchises, when the end is end, like it's done. But who knows? I think we will conclude it there on the review. So a little bit of a mixed bag for us, but overall the highs are high.
Yeah.
Lows are low for a little bit for me. We'll both need to see it again to really kind of make up our minds on where it stands.
Yeah. I think as a lifelong, if you like the franchise, I think it does. I wouldn't even call it fan service because I didn't feel it forced. The connections to the other films.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was fan service.
So I wouldn't call it fan service. So I think that's what makes it better than films that do just like throw in fan service to conclude something or throw in fan service to bring in that audience.
Yeah.
It definitely feels satisfying and just nostalgic more than fan service. And I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. Just sat there thinking, it's what a Mission film is. And like the others, the stunts have elevated. And I think it holds strong. Yeah. In the franchise, it's not the worst.
No, it's not the worst. I mean,
it's solid.
2 is probably the worst. But they've introduced the stunt category this year at the Oscars. So who, just in the nick of time. So yeah, guys, do let us know what you thought of the final reckoning, whether or not you were satisfied or disappointed. We'd love to know your thoughts. Now, of course, in this episode, we, of course, going to put the Mission Impossible superfan to the test with some Mission Impossible trivia games. The first round, Amy, is, can you rank the highest grossing Mission Impossible films from highest grossing to lowest grossing? So, if you really think about it, what films in your mind do you reckon have made the most money at the box office? This is worldwide box office, and this will of course be excluding the final reckoning because we've just seen it. So at number 1, what do you think is the highest grossing Mission Impossible film?
Fallout.
Fallout is correct. So Fallout has grossed $786 million at the box office. What do you think is number 2?
Now, I feel like it's Dead Reckoning, but then it was Impact. It's either going to be Rogue Nation or Dead Reckoning.
Incorrect.
Oh, is it Ghost Protocol?
It is Ghost Protocol. So Ghost Protocol is number 2. It grossed $694 million at the box office. What do you reckon is number 3?
Dead Reckoning?
Not Dead Reckoning.
Rogue Nation.
It is Rogue Nation, yes. So that grossed...
God, Barbenheimer really messed
up. It did, yeah. I remember that. It was like 2 weeks.
It
and
was
then boom.
2 weeks, yeah.
See you later, Tom. $688 million at the box office. What do you think is number 4?
Dead Reckoning.
Dead Reckoning, third time's the charm. Dead Reckoning comes in number 4. It grossed $565 million at the worldwide box office. What do you reckon is number 5?
Is it? Well, I would then say it's Mission 3, but I feel like it's not.
So what are you going for?
Is it 2?
It is too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it did well.
Yes, it did indeed.
'Cause it was a sequel to the
Exactly.
first one.
Yeah. So Mission Impossible 2 is the fifth highest grossing Mission Impossible film and made $549 million at the worldwide box office. Number 6, Amy.
The first one.
That is correct. The first Mission Impossible film grossed $457 million at the box office, which leaves the lowest grossed Mission Impossible film, which of course is Mission 3, which grossed just under $400 million, $399 million at the box office. Were you surprised by any of those at all? Or fairly straightforward?
I mean, I wasn't surprised because I knew Dead Reckoning was impacted by Barbenheimer, but I didn't realise just by how much because the gaps between the films are quite a lot.
I reckon
so for Ghost Protocol to be that high, that came out in 2011. So.
Yeah, I mean that Burj Khalifa scene probably did wonders for that film. Yeah, just the marketing. Okay, so that's game number 1. Game number 2 is less so of a game. It's just some trivia on Mission Impossible. Call it impossible trivia.
Oh, please don't take away my card.
You have to quit your career after this.
I know. I'll just never post again.
Okay, guys, feel free to play along. So, here are some impossible trivia. So, which Mission Impossible character was created specifically for the films that has no counterpart in the original TV series?
Ethan Hunt. Isn't Ethan Hunt? Wait, sorry, what?
So, which Mission Impossible character was created specifically for the films and has no counterpart in the original TV series? So who's a character in the films that isn't a character in the TV series? So who's like an original creation just for the films? Do you know?
No.
Any guesses?
Well, it's not. Jim Phelps was the main character in the TV show, right?
You can take a wild guess at any of the movie characters.
Can you tell me which film?
They're in quite a few films.
Is it?
It's not Ethan Hunt.
Is it Luther?
It's not Luther. So Benji was an original creation for the films.
That makes sense.
Simon Pegg. Yeah. This is very much Simon Pegg's role. Okay, so, gosh, these are actually hard. I don't think I would be able to get
them. About the films, I know.
So, Amy, which film's original working title was Gemini? You got a 1 in 8 chance to get this.
Okay. 2?
Not 2.
3.
Not 3.
Gemini. Does that have any correlate? Gemini means twins.
Really. Not really. Yeah. Doesn't have any correlation. So, Mission Impossible Fallout was under working title Gemini. I think they all had random kind of names. I think one was called like Aries or something like that. Gosh, these are actually really hard.
Yeah.
These are actually just fun facts that people can know. So,
they're going to be about like what happened in the films.
Like, no, that'll be way too easy.
No, but like little hints.
Which director was approached to direct Mission Impossible 3 before J.J. Abrams signed on, but declined due to creative differences? Do you know this?
Oh, it's is it like Oliver someone?
No, not Oliver. To give you a clue, he's quite a prolific thriller director.
Thriller? I don't know. And I'm going to kick myself for not knowing this because, Light the Fuse.
His directing style is quite cold. It's quite... David Fincher was originally approached.
Really?
Yeah, David Fincher. Which actor did Tom Cruise personally choose after watching their performance in The Crown?
The Crown, that would be Vanessa Kirby.
That is correct. Yes, let's go.
Where was she in Final Reckoning?
Where was she indeed? She's also a great character as well.
Yeah.
White Widow. Yeah, those are some fun trivia facts. In case you didn't know, Gemini, Fallout, Benji Dunn, not an original creation. David Fincher as well. That would be cool. I want to see that version. Although I think J.J. Abrams did a good job. So, Amy, for the final game, the third and final game, it's not so much Mission Impossible trivia. Tom Cruise has often been referred to as the last true movie star. I'm going to list some actors, and you're going to tell me, in your opinion, whether or not you, Amy, think that they are a movie star. Okay? So I want you to really think about what you believe is a movie star. So I'm going to list off some. Okay. So first up, we have Paul Rudd.
No.
Vin Diesel.
No.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
Jackie Chan.
He was. I wouldn't say he is now. But in his prime.
Tom Hardy.
No. No.
Mark Wahlberg.
No.
Megan Fox.
No.
Liam Neeson.
Just for Taken 1. It was.
Brad Mills. Sandra Bullock.
These are hard because everyone has eras.
Yeah.
I'm biased to her though. I really like her. But no, I'm not. That's not how I'm basing everyone else off. So no, but I love her.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender.
No.
Sydney Sweeney.
No. Love her. She has potential. She's not done enough.
Christian Bale.
Yes.
Viola Davis.
Yes.
Elizabeth Olsen.
No.
Keanu Reeves.
Yes. Yeah. He did. The Matrix. But this is why Tom Cruise is, because where's the consistency?
Yeah.
So no, but in his prime, yes, but not today. Currently.
So if I ask you, is Keanu Reeves a movie star? Genuinely, your pick, like.
Not right now.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Sam Worthington.
No.
Miles Teller.
Yes, I would actually say yes.
Glenn Powell.
He's on his way up. He hasn't done enough, but based on what he has done, yes. But that's hard to compare him to the people who've been going around since the 80s. Because I'm now saying no, because they've dropped off. So Glenn Powell right now, yes. But
Yes.
Yeah, because based on his entire filmography, which is tiny, yes.
Okay. Angelina Jolie.
No.
And finally, Timothée Chalamet. Movie star or not?
I think you have to say yes because of yeah.
Okay, well there you go, guys.
That's tough because they haven't had they're all got different
Yeah.
spans of their career.
Yeah, it's one of the. It's similar to the game I've played before. Do you think these directors have or a source? Do these directors have the source?
Yeah.
Everyone has different answers.
Yeah,
So
because it's
very
like,
much
do you
personal
base them
choice.
off just their one like defining or a couple of defining ones, or based off all of them? Like, obviously, if you're basing Keanu Reeves just off his main ones, then yeah, but. Yeah,
I think Keanu is like John Wick. I mean,
I know I'm not a John Wick person though.
Fine.
I've
Fair
only
enough.
seen them like casually.
yeah, I think it depends on like literally what you define as movie star. So if it's like, for example, for me, the reason I would say Keanu Reeves is a movie star is because, yeah, he has the popularity. He's a very distinct voice in Hollywood, even though he's not like a amazing actor. He's able to transform a franchise and hold a franchise. Like John Wick doesn't work without Keanu Reeves. Same way Mission Impossible doesn't work without Tom Cruise. But yeah, it's literally dependent on what you think a movie, like what you define as a movie star personally. But there you go, guys. That was game number 3. That was our final game, and that, of course, concludes this episode on Mission Impossible. You okay?
I blame Epics.
Oh gosh, did he wind you?
No, we had a cold.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
Sorry, I'm done now.
So guys, that concludes this episode on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. As I said before, do let us know what you thought of the film down below in the comments section. We'd love to know. Thank you so much, Amy. Special thank you again today as well, because it is a weekday. You are working today and you traveled. You drove over 2 hours to get here. So really, really appreciate that. But of course, you know that I wouldn't have anyone else on the couch. So thank you so much for that. And we look forward to welcoming you back soon. But for now, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you very soon in the next episode of the Popcorn Podcast. Cheers.